boundaries are actually very interesting. And as I've been sitting with boundaries, what I've been just realizing is that when you come from a system of enmeshment, right, where you outsource your choices, your decisions, and it's like the entire group needs to know about it before you make a decision. When you set boundaries, you're taking your power back, right? So normally in a system of enmeshment, what happens is that everyone needs to be informed on behalf of what it is that's going on in a person's life. And what's so interesting about this is that that really slows somebody down a lot. Because think about it. If you are telling everyone about what's going on in your life, you're taking a lot of time and energy to explore with each person what it is that's going on in your life. That slows you down. And by the way, you don't know what kind of a response or reaction you're going to be getting from these people, right? Maybe there's not going to be approval there. Maybe there's going to be some other type of energy that, I don't know, is draining, right? Enmeshment is oftentimes draining because the amount of times that you're actually going to get no pushback when you're sharing whatever is going on in your life, I would argue is very minimal. And I'm sitting with it now because, like, before even learning about boundaries, right, I was very much all about just sharing and oversharing and not having any limits in regards to that. I wasn't thinking as an individual. I was thinking as somebody who was part of a group, and I needed to approach that group before I would make any decisions, right? But now, I'm thinking as an individual who is individuating and creating himself consciously. But the interesting thing here is that previously I didn't even consider boundaries, right? I didn't consider boundaries because I was so caught up in the enmeshment where I needed to know what was going on in everyone else's life. And I see similar kind of characteristics in, like, the media and stuff, like, like keeping up with the Joneses, like all of that kind of stuff. It's like, it's strange. Like, keeping up with the Kardashians. It's strange. It's really strange. I think that people like to be distracted from their own lives because a lot of the things is just too painful to face, right? But when you really, like, actually sit with the stuff and you do it for yourself, right? The reason why I'm really starting to like boundaries like a lot is because they allow you to have your own space. They allow you to say, I'm going to share this with people and that's it. And everything else is off limits. And everything else is off limits because, say for instance, if someone comes to you, or if you've got something going on in your life, right? You've got something going on in your life and you decide to start sharing that with people. You risk a bunch of unsolicited advice, a bunch of opinions that you didn't ask for, right? You bring up that you're going to do this, you're going to do that, or you're going to go here or go there, travel here, travel there, be with this person, be with that person. People want to have something to say. And this is where boundaries come into play. Because even though people want to have something to say, doesn't mean that they get to. And my experiences with boundaries have been very interesting because I have set them, but I've also had pushback as a result of setting them. And the pushback that I've experienced has been very interesting. When you get used to a system of enmeshment, people don't want anything else. They don't. Those who don't like boundaries don't want anything else than anything other than enmeshment. But what's so interesting is that, like, I'm realizing it now, like, I'm actually sitting with it, and it's like, wow, boundaries are cool. So normally how I would go about things are, if something is happening in my life, right, I'd go around the table. Hey, 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 guess what? Hey, guess what? Hey, guess what? Like all that kind of stuff. Going through the motions, going through the process, sharing, oversharing. Um, it's all rooted in trauma. It's all rooted in, you know, just things that happened in a person's life early on that were not appropriate. The person wasn't raised in an environment that was healthy, safe, and stable. There was chaos, there was drama and gossip, there was unpredictability. So that person learned all that stuff. And then, of course, like with that, and that's the thing too. Um, there's safety in relationships, and then there is unsafety. Unsafety is like drama and gossip, and you connect with someone around drama. That's weird. It's so weird. Like, hey, what do you think about this person? Hey, what do you think about that person? I don't think about them because I'm focused on my own life. Oh, that makes you selfish. Yeah, no. That makes me somebody who's very conscious about what it is that I want with my life. I am planning accordingly, and I'm not messing around. Meanwhile, the other people are just gossiping and talking about each other rather than talking to the person's face. But the more that I sit with boundaries, I'm realizing how cool it is to not have to worry about feeling like you have to report whatever the fuck is going on in your life to people. You know? You don't. You don't have to share anything at all. And what I'm realizing the more that I sit with time and energy management is that the amount of time you save, the amount of energy you save by not reporting to everyone, right? By just doing you, and that's enough, and that's fulfilling because you don't need to share with people. You don't. You just simply do not need to share with people. So before I got into boundaries and before I started like sitting with and working with and setting boundaries, I didn't really understand it because a part of me was very used to boundarylessness and enmeshment and being unbelievably over involved unnecessarily in people's lives in ways that were never my responsibility. I just got used to it. And so walking away from it was like, part of this feels really weird. But now, like, that I'm out on the other side, there are still things that I'm healing from, of course, but now that I'm out on the other side, it's like, oh, this makes a lot more sense now. I don't have to share what I don't want to. I don't have to take advice that I don't want to. I don't have to listen to people that I don't want. I feel like a huge part of me is still learning about the foundations of boundaries. I understand what boundaries are. It's just that, like, when you are so used to boundarylessness and you come from a system that is that in and of itself, you basically learn that you're part of a group rather than being an individual who has his or her own ideas and who lives by those ideas, right? And you don't have to get into the group think and worry about all this, that, and the other, and, we're all here for you. Really? You're all there for me? So you went around to each and every person and they said that they're there for me. Like, the amount of boundarylessness that I've learned growing up is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And it's very interesting to experience the opposite of that.